Let's cross to Phil Clark, Steve-O and Eddie Hemmings.
And welcome to the Sydney Football Stadium here in Sydney, Australia, as the Kangaroos begin the quest for a 7th consecutive World Cup triumph over the next 4 weeks. They're meeting New Zealand here on this ground for the first time since the final of the 2006 Tri-Nations, won in a golden point extra time by 16 points to 12. It was one of the best internationals that we've seen in the past 10 years. And the Kiwis, well, they come into this match as underdogs. There is no doubt about that, because they lost out to Australia in the 2000 World Cup final 8 years ago. They went down after extra time to the Green and Golds in the 1995 semi-final, and they lost the 1988 final to Australia when they were tipped to win the final itself in New Zealand. But as the two nations emerge here, a great reception after what you have seen back home was a wonderful opening ceremony to this wonderful 4 weeks of international rugby league, celebrating the centenary of the game here in Australia, and they really have pushed the boat out. Steve-O, the Green and Golds beginning their defence. They start as overwhelming favourites to lift the trophy.
Certainly do, but their skipper Darren Lockyer has made it quite clear to the Australian players that the introduction of Wayne Bennett, an advisor to the New Zealanders this particular time, I can assure you, has made it possible for them to think that they cannot take these Kiwis lightly.
Well, you can see inside the stadium bags of support for the Kangaroos, and in a few moments' time we will have the national anthems. Since losing out to Great Britain in 1972, when a certain old fella who's sitting alongside me played in that World Cup final, the Australians have won the World Cup in 1975, 1977, 1988, 1992, 1995 and 2000. And as they celebrate the centenary, can they deliver a 10th World Cup from 13 competitions? Before the game gets underway, Grant Sullivan with the New Zealand national anthem. Arriving in this tournament full of hope. Remember, they lost the World Cup final at Old Trafford 8 years ago. 40 points to 12 to the Australians, who took control in the final 20 minutes of the tournament. Now then, for the Australian national anthem, will you please welcome now Ursula Jovic.
and gentlemen, please thank Osio Jovic
And the Green and Gold will be going on to lift the trophy. But in the opening two matches of this 2008 World Cup, we've already seen competitive action between England against Papua New Guinea last night and France against Scotland earlier on today. There will be no one-horse races, you feel, in the World Cup of 2008, Steve-O.
I think you're right, and it's been very competitive indeed. And of course, last night, England, they struggled against Papua New Guinea. And France, it was only late in the game that they started to race away against Scotland. So you're absolutely spot on.
Eddie, all of the players in this World Cup are talented ones, but some are able to provide a performance on a higher level than they do week to week when they pull on a national jersey. The Kiwis traditionally have been able to do that, and this just may be one of the reasons for that.
Here they go, the traditional haka. Fantastic. It always gets the hairs on the back of your neck standing up when the Kiwis produce the haka, but Australia faced them up. They stood in a straight line and faced them. And well, with 4 new caps in their side, there are 1 or 2 people, Phil, who think that the Kangaroos tonight are vulnerable.
Yeah, there is a certain element of inexperience, but it's blended as well with players like Darren Lockyer, who've been there, done bought the t-shirt, and in fact already lifted the World Cup, haven't they? But I think for New Zealand here, one of the reasons why they've just formed this circle again, sometimes that haka can perhaps break the concentration. And the New Zealand side know that when they played here in May, just next door at the Sydney Cricket Ground, they were blown away in the opening quarter of the match. They conceded 4 tries, and effectively the game was over as a contest, even with 60 minutes remaining. New Zealand cannot allow that to happen here at the start of their World Cup.
7 changes in the Australian side to the one that beat New Zealand in the Sydney Cricket Ground on May the 9th by 28 points to 12. There's a familiar face back home, Ashley Klein from the English Super League, the match official, aided in the video box by Steve Ganson. We are underway, and here's the first run from Stephen Price, and the Kiwis are quick to pull him down.
Well, I think they set the scene already. The hooker, Nathan Fain, really with a big hit into the shoulder.
Cameron Smith was the man at dummy half. New Zealand very quick out of the blocks in defence as Brent Tate carries the ball forward for the Kangaroos once again. Cameron Smith will come this way. This is the loose forward. That's Paul Gallen, the Cronulla captain under Ricky Stewart. He gets the ball away as well. That's Stephen Price getting Australia to the halfway line. And Thurston with the kick. As you heard in the build-up, Jonathan Thurston, he's playing this match under a real cloud. The death of his uncle in the most tragic circumstances, and no doubt criminal proceedings will follow as a result of that, so I suppose best said soon as mended, but he has definitely been under pressure this week, Jonathan Thurston. There was some suggestion at one stage that he actually might not even play.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of pressure upon the guy, but he'll be happy with the kick. Okay, it was a touch too long, but he's such a vital player for the Australians tonight. And so is this guy. Nathan Fain will control things in and around the ruck area. Pretty important that the Kiwis get good forward work, get over the advantage line, give them a good building.
That's Jeremy Smith who will play the ball, and here now comes Sika Manu. And the Kangaroos dealing with the threat of him for the time being. This is the last tackle here for the Kiwis. And Benji Marshall hands it on to the only Super League player, Thomas Lulawai, who gets the kick away. And here comes Billy Slater. And Slater is collared by some fierce defence, and that was a good run from Sam Perrott to bring him down.
You just saw very quickly there that the Australians, it doesn't matter who will be kicking for New Zealand tonight, they will apply the pressure. They are very, very fast. They get out of the blocks very quickly.
A new side, really, they're saying, for Australia, with one or two old faces, and that's why the Kiwis very confident of causing a first night upset for them here. This is going to be one of the stars of this tournament, Israel Folau. Watch him, 19 years of age, a block-busting centre. Lockyer, of course, always the star. Cameron Smith with the kick. It will go in between the winger on that far side, Perrott, and Ohio, but he picks it up, does Perrott. And Thurston following up with Stephen Price effect the tackle. He will play the ball to Nathan Fien. Nathan Fien, of course, the man at the centre of the Granny Gate affair in 2006.
So on that occasion that Australia, the reason why they've been so superior over a couple of decades is mainly due to the fact that their kick and chase game is so good.
There's Nathan Fien again. Nathan Fien will put the kick in. For those of you who maybe remember or don't remember what I'm talking about, New Zealand stripped of 2 Tri-Nations points in 2006 when it became clear that Nathan Fien was ineligible to play for New Zealand. Well, he's playing now because he qualifies on residency rules as Brent Tate takes the tackle here.
You get the impression that Ricky Stewart, the Australian coach, has made it quite clear. Let's not just play it down the middle all the time, try to get it, keep the ball alive. They're trying to run the New Zealanders off their feet.
Anthony Lanfranchi plays the ball to Cameron Smith. Here is Thurston, Jonathan Thurston, tackled by Simon Mannering. Cameron Smith again. Referee Ashley Klein barking at the Kiwi defenders as Glenn Stewart just ducks under a high swinging arm. This is the last tackle. It's with Lockyer. Up goes the kick. That's a towering kick. It's a great kick as well. Will they allow it to bounce? Unfortunately for New Zealand, the ball goes over the dead ball line.
Well, the fullback Lance Ohio, a lot of problems with this one. See the difference between the two sides when New Zealand got the kick away. You can't allow it to bounce.
And even in the first 10 minutes, we've seen one of the major attacking assets that Australia have. 3 accurate and dangerous kickers. Cameron Smith kicks it very well from the dummy half position when they want to gain ground. Jonathan Thurston on the right-hand side of the field kicks with his right foot, and Darren Lockyer, who plays predominantly on the left-hand side of the field for Australia, is also an accurate kicker who just put the last one up.
It's a drive forward here by Adam Blair. It's his 7th cap, Adam Blair, but this is his first start for the Kiwis. Nathan Fien again. This time they come this way, but there's no chance for Jeremy Smith there. He's enveloped by 2 and 3 green and gold jerseys. It's Nathan Fien again. Oh, and it was off the face of Benji Marshall. He really is one of the strike weapons for New Zealand, you feel, Benji Marshall. And now it's Steve Matai. Kick down the line. And what a back kick as well.
Yeah, to lift the spirits, put them in a good position. Looks to have picked a bit of a knock on the wrist there. You can see that he's heavily bandaged. Just brought down as the under pressure. Interested to know that New Zealand, Benji Marshall taking first receiver. Thomas Luluai, who hasn't got the same speed as the standoff, is taking the second receiver.
Thurston was the man who got the ball away to the man with the golden boots tonight, Israel Folau. The golden boot, of course, has belonged almost perennially to his captain, Darren Lockyer, who's making, by the way, his first appearance for Australia since the 2007 Anzac Test. The Brisbane Broncos superstar winning his 37th cap tonight for his country, and already is being tipped to, of course, be revered in years to come alongside some of the greats who have played this game. Here he is on the ball now. That's a decent pass to Lanfranchi, who gets the ball away to Folau, and Folau has the strength to get it back to Darren Lockyer, and Lockyer keeps it going to Tate. Wonderful handling skills, good tackle needed by Mannering on Thurston. This is the last here for Australia as Lockyer floats it wide. Inglis Greg Inglis
Oh, he dropped
lost
it.
the ball.
Had the opportunity, they went for the power play, and Australia nearly caught out the New Zealand defence. Everyone on the New Zealand outfit thought that it was going to be a kick from Lockyer. And a golden opportunity. English looking towards passing to the winger, but the first error of the game.
7.5 minutes gone. It's 0-0 here in the Sydney Football Stadium. Much cooler down here than it was last night in Townsville when England began their campaign. And I must say, the newspapers that we have read today, gentlemen, have been fairly kind to England, and they praised the Papua New Guineans, and why shouldn't they? But England haven't had the shellacking that we all thought they might get.
I think
That's a kick out on the full, sorry.
That's a bad one there, but I think they're a little bit frightened, Eddie, is the fact that the Australians have respected the Kiwis. They know they're going to be strong tonight.
Eddie, it's 0-0 on the scoreboard, but Australia are far ahead in this game. We've had less than 10 minutes, but New Zealand have basically been hanging on for the last few minutes of the match. There's a poor kick again now, probably the first major error of the match. But Australia are winning the collision, they're playing the ball quicker, and the skill level is such a level at the moment. New Zealand just, well, desperate that they somehow just ride through this tough period.
First game for quite some time for some of these players, but the Kiwis, they beat Tonga in Auckland last week, and they beat Australia 38-28 in the 2005 Tri-Nations. It was their first win against the Aussies here in Sydney since 1959. So Sydney not the best place for New Zealand to play Australia, and they've conceded a penalty here, not allowing the man to get up to his feet, Simon Mannering, and play the ball. Australia wanting to get on with it quickly.
Interesting to see whether they go for the 2 points on offer. Little doubt that it was Mannering messing around, not allowing the man with the football to get up and play the ball. It's obviously a ploy, of course, trying to just slow things down.
And the Australians getting booed by the crowd because they have decided to kick for goal and try and get the first points of their World Cup campaign.
It's not a bad option either. They can just settle things down, get a couple of points on the board.
I think it's one that New Zealand are pretty pleased about, Steve-O.
Yeah,
if I was in a black and white jersey at the moment, I'd want as long as I possibly could to get my breath back, to talk to my teammates and try and identify where things are going wrong and if they can correct them.
I often wonder, Phil, whether they go for the 2 points sometimes so that the coach can get a message out. And you can see there's plenty of trainers out there on both sides.
Well, that's Steve Matai, just having his left wrist strapped up.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a problem with that, hasn't he, for the last 3 or 4 minutes or so. It would be a huge blow to the Kiwis if he had to leave the field. There's Glenn Stewart, Manly's player of the season, 2007-2008. Teammate, of course, of Steve Matai.
Matai has had a problem, Eddie, with that particular wrist. He started the game with it heavily strapped.
So here's the chance for Thurston to score the first points of the Australia World Cup campaign of 2008. Just to emphasise, by the way, the strength of the game down here, 11 of the 16 clubs in the NRL are represented tonight in the green and gold of Australia. Thurston from the North Queensland Cowboys gets the scoreboard ticking as far as Australia are concerned. Kangaroos are leading here by 2 points to 0.
Not a bad option as well by Ricky Stewart, just to settle the nerves of this fella down. He's had a pretty torrid time over the past few hours, should I say, in regards to, and he explained early in the game. But it just shows you the respect that they're offering to these New Zealanders.
But you say, Phil, that New Zealand would be happy for that. I think Australia too, because a fierce, ferocious opening, and a lot of these players haven't played for a good few weeks, and they will be feeling the pinch late on.
No, but they had the majority of possession, and most of that had been in their opponent's half, which tends to say that you're on top and things are going pretty well for your side. As Sivan Asiva, the charges they're making, a little bit like PNG against England last night. Just 1 or 2 metres made forward in the collision again. Look, he hit the point of contact, he's almost getting forward towards the 30-metre line. physically they're too strong for New Zealand at present.
This is a run here from Lanfranchi, and the ball was stolen. There was an arm and a hand in there in the tackle, according to Ashley Klein, and he's penalised Jerome Rapati.
Yeah, just got the fingertips underneath. Well spotted there by Ashley Klein.
Stephen Kearney, the coach of New Zealand, assisted by Wayne Bennett. He's probably more guru in the camp rather than an assistant coach. He's certainly there in an advisory capacity. Won't be happy with the fact that New Zealand have conceded the first 2 penalties of the match. And here now is Stephen Price, the ageless Stephen Price, the elder statesman of the Kangaroos. This is Thurston, good hands, great hands, and a chance here for the wingers, Joel Monaghan, but he is pulled down by the New Zealand defence.
Pretty good sliding defence by the Kiwis, it had to be as well.
It's Gallen
Australia,
again.
oh, that's pretty high there from Matai.
Oh, he's flat out, is Gallen.
Oh, Gallen stepped right into that. Matai, the swinging arm, boy. Watch the centre. Oh, that is a shocker.
There might be a decision
Well,
to
I've
be
seen
made
them
here.
I've seen them sent off for that. You could see that they got to him. Jeremy Smith made first contact, and then Matai came in with a swinging arm. And not surprisingly, Darren Lockyer is asking the question. Well, at worst, it'll go on report.
I've just heard there, I think, Ashley Klein asking video referee Steve Ganson if he had a view.
Well, I don't think he deserves to be sent off. It's a bad tackle. He's actually quite famous for it, isn't he? He hits people and he hits them very hard. He had a massive confrontation with Keith Senior a couple of years back in the Tri-Nations.
You've got to get him down. I'm going to put this on a report because he may have been in contact with the shoulder first. Just be careful, all right?
Well, they've given him benefit of the doubt there.
Oh, they
but,
have. They're talking about the contact on the shoulder. All I can say is that the shoulder's pretty high as far as this is concerned. Oh, that was just a malicious swing. It's a forearm. Deserved a red card. Simple.
Well, it's on report. And this time the Australians are running the penalty with Stephen Price again. That is the New Zealand try line. And this is Cameron Smith. And now it's with Jonathan Thurston. And he gets the ball away to Slater. And here is Tate. And Tate goes for the line. And he's just held up short. Thurston again. Now Petro Sivanasiva.
Switch to the blind. Will it be on? Cameron Smith's looking.
Cameron Smith comes this way, gets the ball to Lanfranchi. Desperate defence here for New Zealand to try and keep the Kangaroos out. Smith to Thurston, Thurston to Lockyer. Lockyer went in front of the man, got it away then to Inglis, and Inglis scores for Australia. Well, they paid the penalty, they paid the price. It was a high swinging challenge from Steve Matai, placed on report by Ashley Klein. They didn't elect to go for the 2 points on offer then. Instead, they decided to go for the try, and here it is.
See the quality of the dummy runner. Went right across first and then right across his chest. Utilised the second rower, Glenn Stewart, to absolute superb timing. Great stuff. On the inside step, the man that went with the hit, Steve Matai, he stepped in. Watch him go for him. Bang. Can't afford to do that. He went far too high. He should have gone for the legs. And Inglis in for the first try of the game. And a good one too.
And Greg Inglis, that's his 8th try now in as many games for Australia, including a hat-trick against New Zealand in Wellington just a year ago. Mentioned Israel Folau, he's 19. Inglis just 21. Formidable in the centres, the Australians. And Jonathan Thurston now. Can he add the extras? And the answer is positive. Thurston adds 2 more points. And the Australians are ahead 8 points to 0. impressive, Greg Inglis.
Eddie, I think passing and catching the ball at that pace with such accuracy is far harder than these pictures actually tell us, particularly when there are bodies in front of you trying to knock you over. I think we're seeing the skill level necessary to go on and lift this trophy. Australia in the opening quarter is far superior to what New Zealand have to offer.
You've got to look at the fact that Steve Matai, he was lucky only to be just put on report. You can see his action going in there, trying to stop English, trying to knock his head off rather than going for the legs and stopping.
And I think it was Matai actually who missed one of the challenges, so he's obviously thinking about that and trying desperately to keep his hands down and not concede yet another penalty. But the Kiwis here with a little bit of a crisis on their hands. I mentioned last night during the England International the wonderful start for Tony Smith to his international coaching career. Ricky Stewart has won 8 of 9 in charge, and the only defeat was against Great Britain here on this ground 2 years ago in the 2006 Tri-Nations tournament. So Ricky Stewart not doing badly at international level either.
He's a crafty coach, don't worry about that. And this Australian side at the moment, they're showing very good shape and composure. That's the difference. You see they're flying low. Sivanasiva there, beautiful low tackle.
And they're punishing tackles as well. Do you see the man getting up then to play the ball? He was puffing, he was blowing for tugs, and we've only had 17 minutes of the game gone.
The thing is, Eddie, is that what happens is someone goes low into the ankle, it stopped his progress straight away, and the second and third man take him out in the rib area.
Well, here comes the response from the Kiwis with Matai, but that's the last tackle. They're only 10 metres inside Australia's half as Luluai gets the ball away to Nathan Feen, and Feen, that ball will run dead in goal. And there's a bit of blood there from the beneath the eye of Nathan Feen.
Eddie, in addition to the skill that I've just talked about with Australia, they do some little things really well. They put pressure on their opponents when they have to kick the ball, and that's the reason why that ball went over the dead ball line and all the pressure was relieved. Australia have a nice easy start on the 20-metre line. Little things go on to add up to make the big differences in these tournaments.
It's Lockyer now, always looking to shift the ball whenever he possibly can. This is Folau.
Well, he's controlling things out there, Darren Lockyer.
Sivanasiva taking a breather and replaced, I think it was by Brent Kite, I noticed.
They don't want a roughhouse game, Australia. They're quite happy to just take 2 bursts with the forwards and then switch it, keep it alive.
Great ball that from Stephen Price. Cameron Smith wrestled to the deck.
Cumberland throw there, bang. He would have felt that, Cameron.
Thurston. Oh, almost got the ball away, but Glenn Stewart just could not take it in, so that's a knock-on and a bit of relief for New Zealand.
Shows you the eagerness, though, isn't it, for the green and golds. They want to keep it moving all the time. Greg Eastwood, he's about to come into the fray. The opportunity was there, just a little bit too high. Stewart just couldn't get to it, off the shoulder.
Well, we've mentioned that Steve Matai struggling in the match with a wrist injury. Bill has got news on him.
Yeah, Eddie, it's the left wrist that's the problem for Steve Matai. My word, he's had an eventful start to the evening. I think he picked up the injury in the first couple of minutes of the game, and he was in real pain the last Kiwi attack, in fact, when he took a pass, and as the ball left his hands, he was grimacing and looking to the sideline. So Steve Matai is struggling, and of course he's in trouble as well.
Yes, he is.
Well, this is the incident where he's brought down, and you can see that his body weight just buckled the wrist back. It's been a problem for several weeks.
Be a big blow to the Kiwis if he comes off the field, but they just got a relieving penalty.
Eddie, and I think this is the first time in 20 minutes they're going to start a set of 6 tackles within sight of the Australian try line.
Let's see how they do with it then as the drive comes in from Adam Blair. Nathan Feen waits at dummy half and gets the ball away to Thomas Luluai, and this is Mannering, and he's got Thurston hanging on to one leg. He hopped then into the challenge from Cameron Smith. That's where New Zealand are.
That's where the likes of Benji Marshall really should come to the fore now.
Well, this is Nathan Kalis, the captain. Nathan Feen is behind him. Luluai. Here is Marshall. Good ball from Marshall, finds Sikamanu. They're inching ever closer towards that line, but this is the last tackle on the kick. Wasn't great. The kick was not great, and it was gobbled up by Brent Kite.
Getting through a lot of work, isn't it? The hooker there, Nathan Fein, but really did waste an opportunity. That should have been into the in-goal area, trying to force that second set of 6. It's important now that they stop Australia getting over the advantage line, getting anywhere near to the halfway line to ensure that they get a good kick away.
Well, they've done so far pretty well on 4 tackles. Another change, Stephen Price coming off. Here is Thurston. That's the last tackle. Good set of 6 here for New Zealand, arguably their best of the match. Lockyer, though, is inside the 40-metre mark, but he elects to go straight down the middle, and that ball will eventually trickle its way over the dead ball line. Darren Lockyer,
you talk about
player.
experience, Eddie. Darren Lockyer, absolutely superb. Knew they were under pressure, Australia. What does he do? He dives into the dummy half position. I'm taking control. I'm going to put the kick away.
It means that New Zealand have to work this ball away from their own 20-metre line, of course. Australia making the 2 changes, New Zealand just the 1 so far. And here now is Jerome Rapati. Had a hat-trick last week against the Tongans in that 56-8 victory. See Tonga for the first time in the World Cup tomorrow. Their game against Ireland is eagerly anticipated. Matai shakes his head. He plays the ball to Nathan Fein. Here now is Sika Manu, winning only his 2nd cap, made his debut against Tonga as a substitute last week and scored a try. And that last pass came from Greg Eastwood, the Leeds Rhino of 2009. Greg Eastwood wearing 15. Wiggins Thomas Luluai with a crossfield kick, a bit of a nothing kick really, straight into the arms of Israel Folau.
Well, the Kiwis are going back to basics. There was only 1 pass put away in that build-up. It was all one-out football. That looked high. Nathan Fein swinging the arm. You know, Monaghan would have felt that. Well, he's been here and everywhere, this fella. Bang. Over the top. And he's not going to be missing them. Ashley Klein on this apartment.
Joel Monaghan, Test debut, brother of Michael, who's at Warrington, of course, the Warrington Wolves.
The big problem is that New Zealand have just spent a lot of energy getting into the Australian half. So what do? Lack of discipline, and they allow Australia to take control.
That ball is stolen in a 2-man tackle. Raked out, says Ashley Klein.
Well, it's rugby league suicide from the Kiwis at the moment. The number of penalties they're conceding. Australia starting the game well, but they just continue to make life harder. They've had to defend so much. They're almost stuck in reverse, Eddie.
Well, they are, because the penalty count at the moment is 5-1 against them. This is the 5th penalty that Australia have received, and what can they do with it here as Perry drives it in once more for them. Danger once more for New Zealand. There's Thurston, puts a short pass in, and that is Glenn Stewart. They halt the danger for the time being, but are they only delaying the inevitable? New Zealand. Here is Perry again, and Lance O'Hire and Thomas Luluai bring him down, but look how close Australia are. They've still got 3 tackles remaining, mightn't need them. This is Lockyer, hands it on to Slater, Slater to Folau, too strong, but was he bundled into touch?
Knock on.
Knock on, says the referee Ashley Klein. Does not refer that upstairs to Steve Ganson. Good decision.
Well, he was in an excellent position to see it. If you look where the referee ends up here, he tracks back towards the dead ball line, puts himself in front and visible. They're able to see just at the top of the screen there, out of shot. He's highly, very confident they dropped the ball, and he saw it well.
You're right. Phil is pretty fit these days, Ashley Klein.
The ball seemed to come free a little in the play of the ball. This is a nice little run though from Sam Perrott.
Well, they were a little bit lucky there, because Josh Perry, he certainly wasn't squared on that occasion, and now it's the green and gold's turn to give away a silly penalty.
He's pretty hot with the whistle tonight, Ashley Klein, isn't he? Stamping down on any ill discipline.
We're yet to see a chink in the Australian defence at all, are we, in this game? Manu Vatabai, the number 5, just going to pass the ball in field. He's almost a human wrecking ball. If they can get the ball to him, he may find a way of powering through this impressive Australian defence.
Well, the Kiwi coach, Stephen Kearney, will be looking towards the skill factor of Benji Marshall, and as yet, he has not asked any question. He's got to take on the defence.
Yes, he's been fairly anonymous, but here he is again now, Marshall, and he gets the ball inside. That's a tremendous run. That's a fantastic try from Sika Manu. Well, we said how quiet Benji Marshall had been. He touches the ball. He has that little leap as he goes towards the defender closing in on him, flicks the ball inside, and Sika Manu did the rest. He had such strength then. He just went straight through the Kangaroos' defence.
Good inside ball as well. You could see that he knew exactly what was happening. Benji Marshall run on the arc, and you'll see that the try scorer Manu steps off the left foot, stops, and then takes a different angle.
Just what Stephen Kearney needed.
Well, a classic example of running into spaces, not into faces. He put himself between the two defenders, and then when he powered through, he has been one of the strongest ball carriers for them in this game so far. Didn't have come through and continue what has been an impressive season for him this year down in the Melbourne Storm Club.
Absolutely, as I said earlier, he made his debut against Tonga as a substitute. He scored a try. He's been mainly used as a substitute this year by Craig Bellamy, including in the game against Leeds in the World Club Challenge. But well, he's starting tonight, and second cap and 2 tries.
And full credit to him, because he read the play very well indeed.
Taking a breather, and obviously maybe with a problem.
Probably a strain at the base of the neck, creating problems. This is a pressure kick.
But it's bang in front for Steve Matai. He makes no mistake. And New Zealand, he's still holding that wrist though, isn't he? He's got a problem with the wrist, and it looks like the try scorer's got a problem around the neck area, but they're on the board.
Good combination with the two halves, and then you can see slipping through. And it was Paul Gallen, the loose forward from Australia, that got sucked in. Watch him step back in, go through.
I think you'd be disappointed with Josh Perry too in 17, wouldn't you, with that sort of effort?
But it was a loose forwards man, and he should have taken him. Ricky Stewart would be very upset with that.
Brent Tate somehow picks himself up off the floor after that run.
And they'll be saying, don't kick off to Manu Vatabai the next time we kick this ball off.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Well, you were expecting a choo-choo. Boy, hit that one.
What did you say, Phil? He's a human wrecking ball. I think we saw there he is, but the Australians have got the ball back in the shape of Paul Gallen. The mistake from New Zealand then as Thurston.
They've got to concentrate now, the Kiwis. They've scored the first try for themselves. They've got to make sure they don't just sit back and rest on the glory. Get through some hard work.
Now Frankie, who sadly his father passed away 3 weeks ago, and he said in the papers here this week that he's dedicating this, his first test jersey, to the memory of his dad, as Anthony Tupou drives the ball forward. He plays the ball, and this is Cameron Smith. Now it's Thurston again. Thurston finds Lockyer. More quick hands, Billy Slater. Slater powers the pass out wide. Now then, has he got that ball down, Joel Monaghan? Has he marked his test debut with a try, or was he short? The celebrations seem to indicate that he believes he has scored the 4-pointer. And if he has, Australia have come up with a perfect response to Sika Manu's 4-pointer just a few minutes ago.
Well, if he's got over it, it's wonderful upper body strength. And the introduction of the two halfbacks, and then you can see Darren Lockyer. See how he just pulls the man out, back on the inside there by Billy Slater. Stepped in and out. They were always going to be struggling out there. You can't see from that angle. This will be much better. I'm not so sure about that either. Boy, this is going to be very difficult for Steve Ganson.
Yes, a big call for Steve Ganson in the video referee's box.
You'd think he's just short there, and has he been able to squeeze it out?
Well, you'd think that the touch judge about 5 metres to the right of those, just on the try line, would have the best possible view.
I don't think this is going to tell us.
No, it's... I think when he makes first contact with the ground, with a ball, it's maybe a couple of inches short, but does he roll over onto the whitewash?
Well, Steve Ganson will be
benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely taking his time, by the way, because we know he doesn't rush these decisions in Super League.
He could go to a ref's call here, in which you'd have to imagine the touch judge is 5 metres away. He would be the one with the best view of that.
Well, look how his body, to me, that indicates he may be just a touch short, but he's got the momentum to go over. Hits the ground there, but watch the body just shift slightly.
Well, that really tells you nothing, does it, that one? Do you
No,
think?
but I think it's a fact that he's actually moving.
And you see the
and
ball
he still has the thing.
on the
I think they'll give this.
I think that Steve Ganson has seen enough. He's made his mind up. There's Alfie Langer out there on the field with the Kangaroos as well, in the blue polo shirt.
Well, if it is benefit of the doubt, it's got to be given to the lad.
Joel Monaghan. Here it comes. Steve Ganson's decision, the video referee. Ref's call. He's given it Ashley Klein. That's something we don't have in the Super League, of course, where if there is an element of doubt in the mind of the video referee, he can hand it back downstairs to the man in the middle. And if he has a view, he then tells us what his view is, and that's exactly what Ashley Klein has just done. Joel Monaghan then gets his try on his international debut.
Well, that's one occasion when I'm sure that Steve Ganson is quite happy they're not sticking to the rules and regulations that we have in England, because that was extremely difficult. But I thought that just the body angle and the way that his momentum took him over, it was sufficient.
What do you think about that ref's call, Phil? I mean, is that the way that perhaps we should be going in Super League or not?
I think it's quite possible, but I think that Joel Monaghan has found a good time to be selected on the left wing for Australia. Playing outside Greg Inglis is probably going to get some good service during this World Cup.
Well, quite frankly, Phil, I don't like it, because
they're all mic'd up, remember, Steve? They do talk to each other, they do converse. So
I realise that, but as far as I'm concerned, if the referee has a doubt and sends it up to the video referee in the first place, what's the point of sending it back to him?
Oh, Thurston's kicking well, isn't he? Thurston is kicking well tonight. Fantastic kick. 14-6. Monaghan with a debut try, just after the New Zealanders had got themselves back into the match.
And again, you'll see the quality. Look where Darren Lockyer is. He's so far back that he has to suck out the centre, which is Matai. And before you know it, Matai, to his credit, gets back on a second occasion. They couldn't stop him.
So, just over half an hour gone, 10 to half-time or thereabouts, 9 in fact. And it's the Australians who are in control of the match. Australia, who will play their semi-final in the World Cup come what may, unless New Zealand finish... they'll play their semi-final in Sydney come what may. That's right.
Ooh, big hit there.
Well, one of the things that, Eddie, that's helped Australia to win so many World Cups is the impact that their substitutes have been able to make coming from the bench. Anthony Tupou in number 16 has really come on and fired, hasn't he? He hits the pace at full speed.
Yeah, Australia will play their semi-final, Phil, in Sydney, as that ball trickles dead. Come what may, unless, of course, they don't make the semi-finals, and that means that England and Papua New Guinea and New Zealand will have beaten them.
That's I'll put you $1 on that, Eddie, for a bit.
I think you might get a fairly good odds somehow.
About 1,000 to 1, I would imagine. Especially with the fact that Darren Lockyer has shown his composure and his class. The skill factor is superb. The mere position that he put himself there forced the New Zealanders to come out and try to cut him down. And by the time we've come out on the angle, Lockyer had got rid of the ball.
Well, Sam Rapira trying to get to his feet and play the ball quickly. Wasn't allowed by his opposite number, Josh Perry, and New Zealand have a penalty. And they're going to start another set of 6 deep inside their opponent's territory.
Yeah, just kept the hand underneath. Most referees, irrespective of which country they come from, they make it quite clear to the players, no interference with a man that's trying to get up and play the ball.
Luluai for the Kiwis.
You saw on that occasion in playing the ball there, Steve Matai is in a lot of trouble with that wrist.
Eastwood helps the ball on to Benji Marshall. Benji Marshall gets it away. This is Lance Ohaya. No way past the defenders there. Lanfranchi saw to that. This is Dane Halatau. A threat to the Kangaroos line. Last tackle coming up here.
It's got to be a good grubber kick.
What does Halatau have in the locker? He finds Marshall, who finds Luluai, who gets it wide to Mannering, gets it further wide. The ball is flicked inside by Perrott, and that went...
Did Slater play the ball?
I think he did. I think he cleared it.
I think he went right across it. It was intentional. He was coming across very fast in the cover.
The referee has actually given the head and feet here to Australia, I think.
Well, he's claiming that the ball played the man, rather the other way around.
Well, he's interpreted the fact that he was running in the direction of the ball, but he didn't play at it when the little flick inside from Sam Perrott came about. I'm not so sure.
Well, we'll never know. We haven't got a replay there to... a little wonder that the Kiwis were pretty upset about that.
Remember, Steve, we're in the hands of the host broadcaster here in Australia. It's not the usual 5-star quality we get on Sky Sports. But it'll do. Trust you're enjoying this 2008 World Cup as much as we are here. I'm sure it has gained tremendous interest around the country back home.
The speed that Australia are playing the ball now is creating all sorts of problems. And you can see there that the Kiwis, they're not applying any pressure at all when it comes to the kick.
With a towering kick from Cameron Smith, but it bounces harmlessly and goes over the dead ball line.
Well, the black and whites, they'll be looking towards the half-time hooter. They really have been stretched throughout this first half.
The 1995 World Cup semi-final, I suppose, the closest the Kiwis have ever come to beating Australia in this event. They went into extra time when they were 20 all, and those of you with a long memory might remember Matthew Ridge's drop goal attempt that shaved the upright. They went on to lose 30 points to 20 to Australia in extra time, and Australia went on to beat England at Wembley in the final. Stephen Kearney there, the Kiwi coach, hoping that perhaps this year history does not repeat itself, but the omens don't look good in the opening 36 minutes here.
Well, they haven't asked many questions, have they, of the Australian defence? OK, Mano went in for a try, and that's a bad error.
There's a try coming here ready before half-time. Australia will sense the lethargy perhaps here now, and the fatigue factor setting in for New Zealand.
That was a good hit by Eastwood on Glenn Stewart.
He felt it too.
He did. This is Lockyer, gets it away to Lafranchi.
Well, it's hits like this that you need to lift yourself, because
Leeds fans will be rubbing their hands, Steve-O, if you can do that next year.
It was a big hit, but, you know, they've got to raise their intensity. They've got to get something to just lift their spirits a little bit.
This is Sivanasiva, 25 metres away. Can they keep them out? The kick is high from Lockyer. It's a beauty.
Got them for offside in front of the kicker.
No, it's a penalty to Australia, Steve.
Oh,
Australia,
he's
they're
taking someone out. Well, it was a high kick.
Trying to guard against anything here.
That shows you that Kiwis are very tired indeed. The last 3 kicks that Australia have had, well, it's not all that conclusive, I don't think. I'm just saying the last 3 kicks that Australia have put in, there's been no Kiwi near him.
Well, Phil said there's a try coming here, and you have to think there might well be, because the Australian's on the charge with Lockyer, and he gets the ball away, and no, it was in front of Tate. Not from Lockyer, the pass, but it was in front of Tate. They were trying to stretch New Zealand wide, and he could do nothing about this whatsoever.
See how deep Australia is standing. Coming on the second line. It wasn't the best from Billy Slater, the full back. Nothing that Tate could do about that.
I think one of the biggest positives, Steve, for New Zealand at half-time is that they've lost a heavily one-sided first half to this game. But Australia are only 8 points in front, and I think Stephen Kearney, you know, whether he can turn the side's performance around, the scoreboard tells them they're still in this game as a contest.
Well, they are at the moment with 2 minutes to go, and you've already tipped there's a try on the way, so we'll see, eh? But you're right, they're in it, aren't they, at 8 points? They're in it, actually, at 14. But they're in possession.
I think there's a bit of writing on the wall, though, Eddie, because of the fact that, you know, I keep mentioning that when it comes to Australia commanding the game, they're not applying the pressure. They've got to do that. That's the only way they're going to come up with the errors.
Lance O'Hire will pick himself up and play the ball here to Dane Halatau. And Benji Marshall with the kick, looking for a 40-20, was he?
Well got it as well.
Well watched by Billy Slater.
Just shows you the difference. When you've got speed like this fella has, the difference of it just a second, and you go bang.
Yeah, he's pretty quick, isn't he? Israel Folau. Tackled by Sika Manu. Now, a chance here for Brent Tate, but New Zealanders deal with that threat.
Gets through a lot of work, doesn't he? Especially when the kick and chase is on. Tate is always there to put himself in the dummy half.
The ball is floated wide to Joel Monaghan again from Darren Lockyer, and he gets the ball away. Went backwards, says the official. The Kiwis have it. They have 30 seconds remaining in this first half.
Well, Jonathan Thurston wasn't looking at that. He anticipated they were going to just run the clock down.
Matai's in agony with that wrist. Really is. Every time he goes into the tackle or he's tackled, he grimaces. This is Eastwood. 10 seconds remaining in this first half. Halatau.
That'll do
the
it.
Pass was poor to Benji Marshall. There's the half-time siren. Australia led 8-0, courtesy of a Thurston penalty, an English try and another Thurston conversion. Then New Zealand got back into it with the Manu try that was converted by Steve Matai. 8-6 it was then, but the Australians just upped the intensity. We got a debut try for Joel Monaghan. Thurston added the extras at half-time here in Sydney. It's Australia, the world champions, 4